What kind of familiarity did you have with Watchmen going into this project?
None.
None at
No,
all?
I was a complete virgin. No idea at all. I hadn't heard of it. I hadn't seen Zack Snyder's film. I hadn't read the graphic novel. And I sat down with Damon Lindelof, the writer, and Joe Iberti, one of the producers, and we had lunch. And for an hour I listened to Damon go on about this story, and I couldn't understand most of what he was saying, and couldn't believe the rest of it. A man of huge energy, wonderful imagination. And at the end, as we were wrapping up, I thought, well, fantastic enthusiasm, fantastic mind. This is going to be very interesting. And so I went away and I read the graphic novel to get a sort of idea about this world. And then went ahead with Damon's ideas.
In the comic, Veidt is kind of chilly and remote, but you're playing him with this kind of almost like an old-fashioned zest for life, I guess, is the only way I can think of to describe it.
Is that bad? Maybe it's wrong.
No.
In comic, he's only that big. And so you can sort of play sort of two-dimensional stuff in a graphic novel, whereas when you have to add different colors, I think. And I think there was a desire that I play him as a little quirky, bizarre, maybe with a touch of humor, to counterpoint what else was happening, which of course I had no idea of, because I was where I was on my own with these two rather tedious people who looked after me.
Did Damon kind of give you the whole picture of what's going on with Veidt, or was this drip-fed to you kind of script by script?
I knew up to episode 8. The ending I didn't know until later.
What was it like putting that costume on?
Tricky, but I think like all uniforms, like all costumes, I mean, it's very interesting that superheroes wear masks and costumes. It sort of removes them from everyday reality and perhaps gives them a feeling of power. And they do the same with soldiers, don't they, and with policemen. It sort of puts them into their role where they behave perhaps differently than they would around the table with the kids.
How did it affect you? It was Oscar Wilde, right, who says you give a man a mask and he'll tell you the truth, right?
Well, yeah, truth about himself, maybe. We will see what happens when he has his costume. We see him put it on. We don't see what he again goes off to do. But it's, I think, his ultimate persona when the costume comes on. I felt a bit bizarre as an actor, but there we are. There is elements, I suppose, of all costume that can make you feel a bit bizarre.
What do you consider this guy's essential qualities? What do you think you need to capture every time he has a scene?
Enigmatic quality, his inconsistent quality, his human quality. I think he may be slightly larger than life, but apart from that magnification, he's pretty like most of us in some ways, where we have secrets, we have things we're trying to do that perhaps other people can't understand. We appear to behave in a rather odd manner. I didn't see him as being that different to me, slightly different rules maybe, a slightly different purpose, slightly different location to the one I normally live in. But I think there's a truth behind him and essential, accurate human nature.
This seems a little different than the roles that you usually do, as far as, because you're so far removed from the rest of the cast at this stage of the story. What is this like for you, where you're shooting in a completely different location and you're, we have to wait however long we have to wait before Veidt becomes part of the main story?
Well, of course, a little bit lonely, but then he doesn't have a lot of company there. And I was not aware, as he is not aware, of what was going on elsewhere. So I just lived in this rather large house, trying to keep myself busy, interested, and trying to have some effect on my future.
you said that you were not aware as he was not aware. Does that mean that you just kind of read your pages in the script and stayed away from the rest of the story?
Yeah, I read a bit of the other stuff, but I thought, I can't cope with this. I don't know what this is. I don't need to know this. So I just concentrated. As we do in life, we just live our own lives, don't we? And we're sort of aware that other people have other problems and are doing other sorts of things. And we read about it a bit in the newspapers, but in the main, we just go down our road.